Facing charges for marrying 3 Florida women in 3 different counties at the same time. Tonight, those women are speaking out, saying the system that handles marriage licenses kept them in the dark.
Michelle married Henry in Hernando County in November 2022.
I met him on Match.com. We met in early November.
How soon did you marry Henry?
It was very short. It was very soon. It was within about 3 weeks span.
Henry was still married to Brandy, who married him in Manatee County that February.
I met him on a dating app. The first time I'd ever got on a dating app. He said all the right things.
Brandy married Henry. He was still married to Tanya, who obtained a marriage license in Gadsden County in November 2020.
Meeting him on a dating site, and the way he portrayed himself, he sold the perfect person, when in reality he was none of those things.
I was never the one to sit up here and say my game is tight. My game has always been good enough to get me by, in some cases. But in most cases, I got rejected. And I'm okay with that, because that's her loss, not mine.
Oh. Stop.
Today I came across a news article that made me realize my game ain't tight at all. My game is loose. My game is loose like your auntie back in 95 before she settled down and had kids with your simp ass uncle.
I'm gonna make a video about, how can I say it? About you being a stripper.
Okay.
This man, Henry Betsy Jr., was on social media dating sites hunting down snow bunnies like Elmer Fudd in the middle of November.
Yes.
Taking them to fancy restaurants, they slide him the debit card underneath the table when it's time to pay the tab, dropping them off work in the Subaru Outback, talking about some, at 4:30 I'll be back round here to pick you up, boo. You know, he running game, and they letting him run game, because all 3 of these ladies, they just finally happy to have a man. All 3 of their asses, they been single for damn near a decade, and when it comes to relationships, they struggle to keep a man. That's how you know they the problem. So they just happy to finally have somebody that's gonna deal with their crazy asses.
How to actually keep a man and how to get a man.
Being thirsty for companionship can lead you down a road filled with heartbreak and financial turmoil. You so sick of being lonely that you're blindly giving your heart to any goddamn body. It was love at first sight. Well, your sight was blurry. Stay off the cognac, you goddamn alcoholic.
Dilemma is how to find a bum unattractive. This bum is so fine that it makes me desert all concepts of reality.
One time, I was so thirsty for companionship, I spent the whole weekend cuddling while watching The Haves and the Have-Nots, a goddamn soap opera made by Tyler Perry. And when I tell you I hated every second of that goddamn soap opera, but I still sat back and I watched it because I was sick of being lonely. I did all that and she still cheated on me with some dude that worked at Subway. Yes, she cheated on me with a goddamn sandwich artist.
It was just a lot of deception that was not making sense to me.
Anyways, that's enough about me and my sad life. Let's talk about Henry Betsy Jr. He took advantage of 3 snow bunnies who was in heavy need of companionship. His first victim, Tanya.
If the counties did talk, that would have saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of money, a lot of stress.
He was still married to Tanya, who obtained a marriage license in Gadsden County in November 2020.
Meeting him on a dating site, and the way he portrayed himself, he sold the perfect person, when in reality he was none of those things.
Henry and Tanya, they met off Tinder. Tanya said that Henry portrayed himself as the perfect man. He was in between addresses, in between jobs for over 6 years, and he just received a PPP loan for $35,000 because he told the government that he's running a Chinese restaurant from his cousin's house.
The way he portrayed himself, he sold the perfect person.
Henry had a lot going for himself. Tanya felt like she hit the jackpot, so she had no choice but to put a ring on it. They got married November 24th, 2020.
The way he portrayed himself, he sold the perfect person.
After 2 years of being married, Tanya started to realize something. Henry was sorry as hell. He had no ambition in life, so Tanya started getting on his ass. Hey, when you gonna start contributing to the house and the goddamn bills, Henry? This is getting ridiculous.
A lot of heartache, a lot of money, a lot of stress.
And Henry, he was starting to get sick and tired of Tanya. Man, she stayed getting on to me, dog. Trying to get me to get a real job so I can pay bills. How dare she? I need something new in my life. I need somebody that's gonna understand me. I need somebody that's gonna understand that I'm a house husband. I need somebody that's gonna give me money every week for beer, lotto tickets, and a haircut. I need to find me a new wife.
Looking for a beautiful woman that understands the ups and downs of life, is trustworthy, and no games.
So the very next day, when Henry dropped Tanya off at work, he headed straight to Manatee County to link up with this little tenderoni he been talking to off this social dating site called Stir. It's a social dating site made for single parents.
Henry was still married to Brandy, who married him in Manatee County that February. Brandy asked us not to show her face to protect her job.
I met him on a dating app. The first time I'd ever got on a dating app. He said all the right things.
When Brandy married Henry, he was still married to Tanya, who obtained a marriage license in Gadsden County in November 2020.
The lady's name was Brandy, and Brandy claimed that Henry was saying all the right things.
He said all the right things.
But obviously, being married to Tanya was not one of the right things that Henry was saying to Brandy, because Brandy and Henry, they got married February 2022.
He said all the right things.
They had a honeymoon in Jacksonville, Florida. Henry took Brandy to a Jacksonville Jaguars game for their honeymoon, and the Jaguars got their asses kicked. Brandy should have took that as a warning sign. This marriage is going to result in you taking a major L.
He said all the right things.
And the major L's, they started rolling in. In March 2022, a little bit over a month of Brandy and Henry being married, two shady gentlemen came knocking on Brandy's door, asking where the hell Henry at? We fronted him a kilo of cocaine 8 months ago, and we need our money. Brandy gonna say to these gentlemen, just hold on, Henry's in the back, I'm going to get him. As soon as she said that, all three of them heard Brandy's Kia Sorento starting up and zooming out the goddamn driveway.
He said all the right things.
Henry was out of there like a thief in the night, or like Caucasian people whenever I go inside Starbucks. And believe me, they do it every time I go. I go 3 times a week. But when Henry left out that driveway to avoid the turmoil of not paying these shady gentlemen, them shady gentlemen, they looked at Brandy like, well, I guess we gonna rob your ass instead.
He said all the right things.
Well, they was about to rob Brandy until they noticed the wedding ring that Henry bought her. And then they started feeling sorry for her. Like, I'll be damned, you already going through enough in life. Your husband don't give a damn.
He said all the right things.
You know what? We gonna cut you some slack this time. So as the shady gentleman is leaving Brandy's house, Henry, he is headed over to the next county, Hernando County. He about to link up with this tenderoni he been macking on Match.com.
Michelle married Henry in Hernando County in November 2022.
I met him on Match.com. We met in early November.
How soon did you marry Henry?
It was very short. It was very soon. It was within about 3 weeks span.
Henry was still married to Brandy.
Her name is Michelle. They met in early November 2022. Henry took Michelle to Ruth Chris for their first date, and Henry accidentally forgot his wallet. So Michelle paid for the tab.
Henry's financial situation appears to have taken a turn for the worst.
And I'll be damned, it was love at first sight. So 3 weeks later, they got married on November 23rd, 2022. And keep in mind, he just married Brandy 9 months earlier in February 2022. It's pretty evident. Henry don't give a damn. So Michelle said that her and Henry, they grew close very quickly and got married at the county courthouse in a very short time span, 3 weeks.
How soon did you marry Henry?
It was very short. It was very soon. It was within about 3 weeks span.
Now back to his first wife, Tanya. After not seeing her husband for 9 months, she finally grew suspicious. Damn, where the hell is my husband?
County by county, putting his name in, and that's when I came up with.
So she started doing her own investigation. She put Henry's name in all types of search engines. And that's when she found out the horrific truth. Her husband is a goddamn Dallas Cowboys fan.
What? Oh my god.
That was a joke. She actually found out that her husband was driving around Florida marrying every goddamn body.
I just started county by county putting his name in, and that's when I came up with the marriage to Michelle and the marriage to Brandy.
She found me and she messaged me, and I had no idea that she was actually still married to him.
So she contacted the other wives and they got together like a female R&B group reunion. And they started doing even more investigating.
His wives, who met Henry on Match, Tinder, and Stir, recently found his profile on another dating site while he was still legally married to them.
Looking for a beautiful woman that understands the ups and downs of life, is trustworthy, and no games.
They found his dating profile on the dating social site Bumble, and the bio on the profile read this: looking for a beautiful woman who understands the ups and downs in life, who is trustworthy, and who plays no games. And I'll be damned, all three of the wives were disgusted because they understood that he was down in life and not up. They was trustworthy to let this man drive their cars while they was at work. And they played no games about him because they married him in less than a month of knowing him. Sounds like no games being played to me. So the first wife, Tanya, she decided to play even more no games. She called the goddamn police.
I'm Mr. Betsy, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to affirm any testimony you can give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Michelle gave us cell phone videos of court hearings. Henry Betsy Jr. was arrested for felony bigamy last year after Tanya figured out she wasn't his only wife.
Just like that, Mr. Player Made Henry is charged with felony bigamy. You thought you was bigger than the profile, now you're charged with bigamy. I be damned. I blame this whole situation on how negligent the state of Florida is when it comes to, pulling up names and seeing that they already got a marriage license or certificate attached to their names.
There are no safeguards, and that, I feel like that's part of where the system failed.
I did the paperwork and got married all within 15 minutes.
In Pinellas County, 2,000 people get married at courthouses each year. There is a 72-hour waiting period for Florida residents, but that can be waived by a judge, and there is no required wait for people from other states. Pinellas County Clerk Kim Burke says Florida makes it easy to get married because the state is a big wedding destination.
The third wife, Michelle, said you go to the records division, you apply for a marriage license, they take your ID and your information, and bam, you can get married right on the spot. There was no red flags that popped up in the system that showed that Henry already had 2 prior marriage certificates attached to his name.
The wives say marrying Henry was easy.
You go to the records division, you apply for a marriage license, they take your information, they take a copy of your photo ID, and we got married right there at the courthouse. No questions asked. There was nothing that was flagged in the system for him having already 2 prior open marriage license.
Florida is a very easy state to get married in because of all the resorts, beaches, and theme parks. It's a very sought after state when it comes to weddings. And Henry knew this. Henry knew that Florida was very negligent when it comes to marriage certificates. And he took advantage of it. And the wives, they came to the realization that it was not about love. It was about money because all 3 of them was in a similar situation. They were divorced single mothers receiving child support and alimony. Henry was trying to get a slice of their pie.
His wives say they later came to believe their marriages had more to do with money than love.
The day we got married, he was like, well, we need to make your bank account a joint bank account.
We were either divorced or about to be divorced, maybe coming into something.
Child support, alimony, anything that comes with, the extra perks of marrying a newly single divorced woman.
So he hit the jackpot here.
He did, 100%.
And Henry, he was broke as hell. His last court hearing, he even told the judge he had no source of income and he had no money in the bank. And all 3 of the wives, they already knew this about Henry before marrying him. They just wanted that companionship. They just wanted a man.
Henry's financial situation appears to have taken a turn for the worst.
Do you have any source of income presently?
No, at the moment, sir.
Do you have any money in the bank?
No, sir.
Michelle and Tanya say they escaped their marriage and obtained domestic violence orders after Henry became abusive. Brandy says she kicked Henry out of her house after just 5 days of marriage. Henry finally filed for divorce from Tanya following his arrest. and is now seeking annulment for his marriages to Michelle and Brandy.
They just wanted that companionship. They just wanted a man.